Welcome to Baseball Biz. I'm Mark Carpenter, your host, and with me today, I've got a very special guest, and that's Mr. Nat Gordo. What do you want to know about the Red Sox? He's the man to go to. Welcome, Matt. How you doing, man?
Not too bad. How about yourself?
I am doing great. I'm doing fantastic. What is your handle with Twitter, bud?
So on Twitter, I'm Boston Sports Gordo. You can find me at BOS Sports Gordo.
There you go, boys and girls. And man, I love what you do. You're not just about the Red Sox. I mean, you cover everything when it comes to Boston and that general area as far as sports. I know you're suffering through the Celtics right now, but that's okay because you got the Red Sox and they look like they're doing well right now. They look like they're moving up.
Yeah, Sox are they're overperforming a lot of people's expectations. I mean, obviously, the AL East is insanely competitive, so they've been in and out of last place. If you wanna go that route, they've been hovering around 2 to 5, 6 games above 500 for a few weeks now, and they look like they can compete with anybody. I mean, they may not be groundbreakers, but they are giving us a team to watch, like some watchable baseball this summer, which I think a lot of people didn't think would happen.
Yeah. Myself and others have been sitting back and being critical of the front office decisions, everything, looking at Mookie, looking at Xander, go back and all that. But, when you look at the AL East, it is the AL Beast because there's no other division that has everybody above 500.
Yeah.
And the good news is we get to share the bounty, if you will, across all of the MLB this year because of the balanced schedule. I love it. I mean, you guys are spending a lot of good time right now out there on the West Coast, and it's been an interesting week thus far.
Yeah, I just finished up a series in San Diego against old friend Xander Bogaerts. Took 2 out of 3 there. They looked pretty good. You want to talk about issues with the front office and mistakes that they've made? Well, one of those mistakes definitely looks like giving $10 million to Corey Kluber, who has really not lived up to preseason expectations. He was a lot better for you guys last year than he's been for us this year. And the biggest issue there has been the walks. Last year with Tampa Bay, he was in the 99th percentile in walk rate. And this year with the Red Sox, he's somewhere in the 30s. I think I might have seen 38th percentile today. And that's a steep drop off. When your fastball is sitting 87, 88, 89, you got to be able to locate it. And if you're not going to locate it, you're going to put guys on base. He allows a lot of hard contact, especially when he leaves balls over the middle of the plate. Oh, yeah. And it's cost him. And yesterday you walked 3 batters in the first inning and allowed 4 in the first. And that was that. So the Red Sox this year, pretty much, they've been good in games where starting pitchers have been able to keep them somewhat competitive. They've taken steps to improving their rotation. Guys have gotten healthier, and they've moved Nick Pivetta to the bullpen. Corey Kluber will get at least one more start this coming Sunday, but we'll see what happens after that. Garrett Whitlock's coming back, and they'll have 6 starters at that point. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, we got some late night games coming up this week. I know we got 3 in a row against the Angels, all 9:38 starts. So for all of us night owls, it'll be fun. But a lot of people don't like those. I'm a rare breed. I like the West Coast games.
Well, you can stay up. You're young. I'll watch them the next morning, dude. No, I'm excited anytime we get out there too. And my gosh, anytime you get to play the Angels, you get to see some top talent with a pitcher like Ohtani, with Mike Trout. I mean, 2 legendary players right there. But I see you guys, continue on with this. I've got to tell you though, I was concerned when I saw. I mean, I'm always concerned with any team where the players leave. You wonder what they're going to do. And what was it? We had Michael Wacha, you had Rich Hill, and Nate Eovaldi. And Nate's one of my favorite pitchers of all time anyway. So when I saw those 3 guys go, and especially Hill and Eovaldi, I was like, how's this going to go? What are you going to be able to do? But, and you've got a few injuries too. So what does that starting rotation look like? And what do you think is the impact of those guys going?
Yeah, I mean, you take a look at those 3, and then I want to talk about another departure, not from this past year, but from 2 years ago, Eduardo Rodriguez. So the combination of those 4 guys, they've all pitched really, really well this year. But the Sox have still had some bright spots in the rotation. Chris Sale has really looked like himself for the better part of a month now. Like the velocity is there, the sliders. His location which was brutal early on, is back. He's looking the part. I mean, the camera angle when he was facing Juan Soto the other night, and he had 2 strikes on him. The Nesson camera panned to him, and he was angry and grunting on the mound, and then he proceeds to blow 98 right by Soto's bat. He really did look the part there. Let him throw 110 pitches, 2 outings in a row. Like, he looks the part, so he looks good. James Paxton has been a really pleasant surprise. He's only made 2 starts, but he's looked good in both of those starts. And they've seen some good things from Brian Bayo, who's kept runs off the board. He's been throwing 5 innings most starts. He's gotten up to 6, but in his ERA is in the high 2s in his last 4 starts. Hasn't allowed more than a couple earned runs. He's got to get the walks down. He walked, I believe, 5 guys in his last start, but he hasn't pitched that well in cold weather. Just some kinks to work out. He's a young pitcher, but he looks really good. So those are 3 guys that you can really build off of. But after that, it's been rocky waters. Tanner Houck is a fascinating guy to watch because the first time through the order, he's quite literally better than anyone in the game. It's 1, 2, 3 innings, smooth sailing, easy every single time. His OPS against, I believe, is in the 300s first time through the order. It's crazy. But as soon as you get to the second time, guys are hitting like 320, 330 off him, and third time through the order, it's even worse. They're trying to work things out with him. They're trying to get him to work on a couple of new pitches that, he got introduced to this year. It's been up and down, but his highs have been really high. You feel like there's a good starter there. A lot of Red Sox Nation wants him to go to the bullpen because on the surface, you see a guy who dominates for 2, 3 innings and you think that's a reliever. And on the surface, you'd be right. My personal opinion is you build a guy up like that. You see the stuff is there. You try to approach every avenue to make that guy a good starter. Because if you can even remotely bring what he brings for the first couple innings into innings 4 through 6, like, you're going to have a really good starter there. It's just development is not linear. These guys take time. So I personally like that they've kept him in the rotation, but I don't know how much longer he could remain there. If they choose to stick it out with Kluber, Houck would be the guy to go to the bullpen. And then they've got Garrett Whitlock coming back. He'll be the last guy in the rotation, hopefully, once things get sorted out. And I'm really high on him as a starter. He's been up and down. I think he's got the stuff to do it, but we really haven't seen very much from him because every time he's had a shot in the rotation, he's gotten hurt. So this will be basically attempt number 3 at it. A lot of Sox Nation wants him in the bullpen too because we've seen what he can do out there. I think the future is bright for Garrett Whitlock in the rotation as long as he can stay healthy. Obviously, that's a big if at this point. He hasn't to this point, but I'm excited to see what he's going to bring. I think he's going to be back either this weekend or shortly after this weekend.
Well, I hope you're getting back sooner. There's no doubt. I know, as being a Rays fan, I know what injuries can do when you're looking at some pitchers that are out right now.
It's brutal.
It is. I keep waiting for Glass now to come back. Rasmussen going down, and wonder how soon Drew's going to be back. It could be 60 days. You never know. And that poor guy's had 2 Tommy Johns before all this. So there's a lot of injuries, and there's the expectations of those bodies is so much. You think of what pitchers are throwing today compared to 20 years ago. The heat that's expected, what their bodies they're having to do just seems so much more, and therefore it seems like injuries tend to increase as well. But stepping away from pitching for a minute and another injury, I like this. You covered this, I think, on your, what is that Substack that you have, Beyond the Monster?
Yeah, Beyond the Monster. They've got a really good group of guys there writing for them, and it's really started to take off. It took off really in the off season because Chris Henrik, who owns the page, really has taken a big step forward as a reporter. He's really killing it on the beat. So if you don't follow him yet, follow at Chris Henrik. HENRIQUE. He's a really good follow for all Red Sox fans.
Well, I'll tell you, I was looking, I think you wrote the article on Duval and Duran. And I was like, I saw Adam Duval, and I said, he's injured. I said, oh my gosh, man, such a critical player. But then tell me about the guy who came up, who stepped up.
Oh, Jarren Duran has been such a bright spot. I mean, Adam Duval is lighting the world on fire for maybe, it might have only been like a week and a half. He had like a 1,500 OPS, but going down for a sliding catch in Detroit, goes down and breaks his wrist. He's targeting a June 9th return. We'll see if that actually happens. And A lot of Red Sox fans thought that was that for the season when he went down because they've already lost their best right-handed bat with Trevor Story. Your new best right-handed bat goes down too. You really don't have that much right-handed talent. But even though he's not right-handed, Jarren Duran has come up and he's lighting the world on fire. This is a guy who was a consensus top 30 to 40 Major League Baseball prospect at his peak a couple of years ago. Came up and struggled in all facets of the game. He couldn't hit the high fastball. The book on him came out fairly quickly, and he struggled at the plate. And his defense, even though he's incredibly fast, he was learning center field on the go. He was an infielder when he first came into professional baseball. He was an infielder in college. So the center field defense was not good for 2 years in the bigs. But this year, he's in the high 80s for percentile and outs above average. He looks the part. His first step has gotten better. He looks more prepared before the pitch is thrown, and he's talked about that. And the coaching staff has talked about how important that's been for him. And he's just a much more confident guy. He's been one of the best hitters in baseball since his call-up. If you look at the numbers, there's really no getting around it. Obviously, there's going to be some regression there because you can't just hit 350, 360 forever. But he's lit the world on fire, and I'm making it my mission. I need to get him to the All-Star game in Seattle. If he gets to the All-Star game in Seattle, Rob Bradford, Odyssey Sports at Bradfo, give him a follow too. Follow at Bradfo_show for the podcast. He will be sending me to the All-Star game if Jarren Duran makes it. So we got to get Jarren Duran to the All-Star game.
Well, I'm excited about it from what I've seen and certainly what you've portrayed as well. So I was, Duval go out and there's concern. You see Trevor Story go out and there's concern. So probably a lot of fans at the beginning think, oh my gosh, what the heck are we going to do this season? And while, you're not, there's not a winning percentage of 800. No, nobody has that now, but there is a consistent, growth. And even now starting out there with the Padres this week. Oh, wow. I loved it. Two of my favorite guys from all time with the Red Sox, Xander Bogaerts and Rafael Devers. And, those two, I looked at those almost like the way I looked at the Houston Astros with Altuve and Correa. Two guys that were practically buddies on the field. They seemed to have such great communication. So when Bogaerts was no longer part of that equation, I wasn't sure where things were going to go. I thought, oh my gosh, who are these guys? This front office of the Red Sox not keeping Bogaerts. And I thought, well, Chaim Bloom is like a student or what I want to say, somebody from as far as learned from when he was with the Rays. And the Rays usually trade when somebody's almost starting to decline. They've come up here and they see, I don't know that they'll be able to repeat that next year. So I was a little concerned seeing Bogaerts go. And, you look at comparisons. Bogaerts has got, maybe he's 4 years older, I believe, than Devers. So even if you're looking at a long-term contract, because I think both of them got 11-year contracts. Devers got 11 years with the Red Sox, and then, of course, Bogaerts with the Padres. And Bogaerts, he's not been Bogaerts of old this year. He's the Padres. He's suffering. I mean, the whole time that he faced you guys, he didn't have a single hit over 3 games. And prior to that, he was coming up short too, I think, for like several games before that. It's tough time. So as much as I was critical, of seeing what was going on, letting go of Bogaerts, maybe it was the right call.
I think you can look at it in two different lights, because the way I look at it and the way a lot of Sox fans look at it is they lowballed him with a contract offer in spring training of 2022. And he was open to an extension. He would have signed something fair. And they practically insulted him with that offer. And Bogaerts will tell you that he knew when that offer was made that was that. And this was going to be his last year in Boston. I never did fault them for not giving him $280 million like the Padres did in 11 years, like you said. It's just not good business. Even if he's your franchise guy, if someone's going to pay him something like that, 11 years for a guy in his 30s, that's tough. And yeah, he's struggled. And after a good April, he's really, really, really struggled in May. Like you said, he didn't have a hit the entire series. I don't think that the Red Sox front office was all that enthused about the future of Xander. I mean, just based off of the reporting that we got in the offseason, they just were never, they really never were aggressive about trying to bring him back. And like there were different reports about them insulting Xander during negotiations. I just don't really think that there was a desire on the Red Sox part to bring him back. And it was obviously very different with Devers, a guy who's 26. He's special with the bat, hits the ball as hard as anyone in the league. Stuff like that translates into the mid 30s, and his defense has gotten a lot better this year. They were a lot more confident and a lot more aggressive with him than they were with Xander. And I don't think anyone would tell you, even at the time, that was a mistake, because I think we all knew that Devers was the superior player, and like obviously with age, it just makes the decision that much easier if you have to pick one. I think Red Sox fans wish that we didn't have to pick just one. I mean, they had 3 franchise guys with Mookie, Xander, and Devers, and now it's all said and done. They've all gotten their long-term deals, and only one of them was with the Red Sox. I think a lot of Red Sox would have understood if you couldn't keep all 3, but I think people would have thought that you could keep 2. And maybe the other one should have been Mookie Betts.
I believe anybody would say that, because Mookie, while he's maintained his credibility as a great player, I think there's a certain enthusiasm with the persona that he gives. Right now, in Tampa, we got Randy Rosarina. There's an excitement with him. With Jose Siri, there's an excitement with him. And I think Mookie Betts, wherever he goes, there's going to be that excitement. And it's something he communicates with fandom, with everybody that's in the stands that day. And it goes beyond actual performance on the field. So that was one of the reasons as much as any, I hate to see him go from the Red Sox. I thought that's a lot of vitality to go out the door. So, but you guys are looking good. I mean, tell me something else. What's the future like? What's your farm system saying? What's that telling you? Anything there that you're seeing on the horizon?
Yeah, I mean, the farm, particularly compared to where it was 3 and 4 years ago, it's a lot better. We had thought that there would be a little bit more pitching depth in the upper minors this year. They've got Brian Mata, Brandon Walter, and Chris Murphy up there, who I think a lot of Red Sox fans thought would take that next step this year, but all 3 of them have struggled. The up and coming pitcher to watch in the Red Sox system is Shane Drohan. He started the season in Double-A, and I think he had like just 6 starts there this year. He was so dominant, they called him up to AAA, and he made 1 start there, and it was up and down. But he's a guy to watch, because he's someone that the Red Sox are pretty high on right now. He's at this point kind of cemented himself as the top pitching prospect in the organization. But yeah, the same olds are same old. Like Marcelo Meyer is killing it in Single-A. He's looking at a maybe even early summer promotion to Double-A Portland. They've got Miguel Blaze, who's injured at the moment, but he's playing in the States for the first time this year. He's a long ways away, but the Red Sox are really high on him. Like, he could be that 5-tool talent that comes up and with his swagger shocks Major League Baseball. But that's a ways away. And then they got Cedon Rafaela, who is fantastic defensively. He's playing in Double-A right now. He could look at a call up to AAA at some point during the summer if his bat comes along a little bit more. He's one of those defense first guys. He plays a Gold Glove caliber center fielder. A lot of people think he would be that if called up today. It's just his bat isn't ready. Still up and down. I think a lot of people are higher on him than I am, but I'm willing to be open about it. I mean, guys' bats develop at different paces. I mean, if that develops into anything, then he is someone to watch. And then I guess the last guys I'll touch up on are the guys they got for Christian Vazquez this past midseason. That trade it looks to be a win-win for both teams. The Astros get their World Series out of it. Christian Vazquez catches a no-hitter in that World Series. But the Red Sox get 2 good prospects out of it. And Manuel Valdez has come up to the bigs this year, and he's looked really good. He hit a 3-run homer to practically win the Red Sox a game in this series. And then you've got Wilyer Abreu, who's looked really, really good in AAA so far. He's on the 40-man roster this year. The Red Sox protected him from the Rule 5 draft, and he is He's looking really, really good in AAA. I don't know if he's like going to be like a top 100 prospect type guy, but they've got two guys there who show that they are big league caliber players at some point in their careers. And the front office has made their fair share of mistakes, but getting two big league caliber guys who with no experience, so you get the full 6 years, to get those for a half a year of Christian Vasquez is pretty impressive.
Well, let me go back to the main club for a moment. And again, looking at the IL, I know Christian Royal right now, he's out for a bit. You'll see Yu Chang and I think Justin Turner as well, or is he back yet? What's going on with Justin?
I think they've said he's probably going to be back today. They said maybe Sunday or Monday, so hoping for tonight.
Well, and as you were on, I was saying a moment ago, the guys that you have in your lineup this past few days, I mean, they've been strong, and I wanted to ask you about Yoshida. Tell me a little bit more about him.
Oh, he's been everything advertised and more. I mean, the guy literally doesn't swing and miss. He rarely strikes out. He walks a ton. He's hitting 300 with a mid-high 800s OPS. He bats in the middle of that lineup and he's basically hit second this year. They've swapped him and Devers. They originally had Devers to Yoshida fourth, but Yoshida's really capable of doing anything with the bat. I mean, he's a small guy, but don't sleep on his power. I mean, he had that game in Milwaukee where he hit 2 homers in the same inning, one of them being a grand slam. When he's hot, he is crazy hot. And they're really, outside of maybe like the first week of his big league career, maybe first 2 weeks, like he doesn't really go cold. Like cold Yoshida is still getting on base at least once a day, maybe twice. It's like he's walking and it's like, oh, you think he hasn't really done much, but he's actually 1 for 3 and walked. So his defense isn't going to light the world on fire, but that's why you play him in left field with the small left field with the monster there. He's learning how to play that well. The bat is there. And yeah, the guy, he's kind of a fan favorite here at this point.
I can appreciate that. I mean, with the new, this is his first year. I mean, I'm always questioning, okay, because he's an international, right? As far as bringing him in, an international signing. And I'm always concerned, well, I said, is this somebody that is going to be comfortable in a whole new environment, a whole new league, if you will? And he obviously has done well with it. I've seen others who haven't. So I'm really glad to see him doing so well with you guys. And I love what you said about getting on base, because some of my favorite players, that is key. Again, forgive me for reflecting back on the Rays, but look at Yandy Diaz. Yandy Diaz.
So good.
There's a reason that he's usually first in the lineup. And one, he's going to get on base. Two, he can make a pitcher work for it. It making the second up at bat may have the pitcher at 7, 8, 9, 10. He may be coming up with the 10th pitch for the batter that's coming up. Yandy may have done that. Brandon Lau, he was really suffering for several games, and a lot of us questioned what was going to happen with him, but he's coming through now. And you find players like that who get on base, whether it be for a walk, but also can wear a pitcher out. And
exactly it. That is exactly it. Wearing pitchers out is what makes the tough teams tough. That's what's made the Rays tough this year. And that's the difference between last year's Red Sox team, which struck out a lot, had a lot of quick at bats, a lot of left on base. You'd get a couple guys on base start an inning, and then you'd see 3 straight strikeouts. This year's team, they grind pitchers out. You get ace caliber pitchers, all-star pitchers who aren't making it beyond the 5th inning because they're throwing 25, 30 pitches in the first inning. We've seen it a bunch of times. The Sox pitching has held them back a little bit, but the offense grinding out starters, like that has been something we've seen from the beginning of April till now. And I think you could agree with this. I think the best teams that we've seen over the last, probably in our entire lives watching baseball, are the teams that are just a pain in the ass, patient, swing at not just strikes, but their pitches. Don't just look for a pitch that's in the zone to swing at. You wait for your pitch.
Yeah.
And you don't chase. If you don't chase, you make guys throw you pitches to hit. And that's something that I've been really happy to see with the Red Sox this year. All of the best Red Sox teams in my lifetime have done that, and the worst ones haven't. It's pretty consistent.
Wow. Well, I wish you continued success with that, your Red Sox. And still looking at that West Coast venture that you are having right now. Let's see, you're coming up, the Angels and then the Diamondbacks. Any insights, anything you want to offer is what you see that will happen during those two series?
Well, with the Angels, they're missing Ohtani and Sandoval, so they're getting the three back arms in their rotation. So they lucked out there, and only one lefty. I definitely feel better about the Red Sox lineup when they're facing righties. Guys like Tristan Casas, Jarren Duran, much better with right-handers on the mound. Little nervous about Arizona. They're a pesky team.
Oh yeah,
they're good, and it's people have not given them their due yet. Maybe it's because they're on the West Coast. I don't know, but they're 27-20, and I feel like nobody knows or talks about it, and they should, because that's a damn good team. And coming into the year, Corbin Carroll coming up, like they released Madison Bumgarner, like they told him to go home, and it's worked out. Like they're a team, they're a fighting team. They are good. So that's gonna be a test, because I feel like they're kind of similar to the Sox in that sense. They're not necessarily the most talented team in the world, but they'll fight you, and we'll see how that one goes. I'm excited for that one this coming weekend.
Yeah, this should be exciting. I want to make one more parallel. I think this is something you tweeted recently, and I think it was between John Smoltz and Corey Kluber. Because what brought that in my mind, you said the word release, and my mind went straight to Corey Kluber. Tell us about your comparison between those two pitchers.
Yeah. So in 2009, John Smoltz was recovering from surgery, and the Red Sox picked him up to rehab him, try to figure out how to get him on the mound in the middle of the summer and hope that you can squeeze a little bit of juice out of him at the very end of his career. So they did it. They signed him. They rehabbed him. He came back in the middle of the summer, and he got 8 starts, and I believe the ERA was 8.33. And Theo Epstein flew out to wherever the Red Sox were on the road to personally, face to face, give John Smoltz his respect. He's a Hall of Fame pitcher, Cy Young Award winner. But like, if you're not going to help the team, like, we just have to do what we have to do. And so they DFA'd him and eventually released him. Corey Kluber has now made 9 starts for the Red Sox. He's got his ERA, I believe, is 6.26. It's somewhere around there if it's not exactly that. And to be honest with you, it should be higher because he let in 5 runs yesterday. Only one of them was earned, but watching the game, like, they were all on him. They were only unearned because of an error that he made. So, so it's 6.26, should be higher. It's 9 starts at this point. The velocity is not there. The location's not there. There's really not much reason to believe that he's going to improve. So yeah, he's gotten 1 more start than Smoltz. It looks like he's about to get 2 more than Smoltz, but we'll see how long it lasts. I mean, you could always do the fake IL stint, the phantom IL. You just put him on the shelf for a little bit, see what you got. And then, in 3 weeks, if you like what the rotation's giving you at that point, you can DFA the guy. But maybe you just go right in and DFA him anyway. You don't even have to fake IL him. It's just, I feel like they gave him $10 million and it's been less than 2 months.
Yeah.
So they're afraid. And like, he's not like he's just any guy. I mean, this is a 2-time Cy Young Award winner, really well-respected guy and a good guy. He's a really good dude and he wants to be good. But it's just, he's been through the ringer in terms of injuries. He's 37. He's at the end of his road. I mean, we'll see how much time he's got left. But yeah, I see a lot of parallels with the experience, with the Corey Kluber experience to the John Smoltz experience.
Well, like any player, I hope they can find their way and the control, which he wouldn't have been a Cy Young Award winner if he didn't achieve a lot in the past.
Oh, big time. Yeah. I mean, we watched him for years. He was flat out untouchable. You face Corey Kluber, you're taking the loss that day. And it's tough because, like, you don't want, like, this isn't me and Red Sox fans like rooting for a guy to lose his job. Like, we just want to see the team win. And, it's a cutthroat business. And if you're not getting the job done, usually in this league, you don't have a job.
Well, I am glad to see one pitcher who is aging, who's doing so well, and that's Chris Sale. And to me, it's wonder to watch when that man is on his game. And he certainly seems to have been like that this past week.
Yeah, I mean he had 3 or 4 starts to open the year where it really didn't look like we were going to see the Chris Sale of old ever, and a lot of people were talking about throwing him in the bullpen.
Yep.
But for the last month, maybe more at this point, he has looked like the Chris Sale of old, and they're treating him like he's the ace. I mean, they threw him out for the 7th inning, beginning the inning at 98 pitches, and he went 1, 2, 3. He got the first out on 6 pitches, and they let him stay in for the righties because the first guy in the inning was a lefty. He got him out, had 104 pitches, and they just let him keep going against the righties, and he got them both out and finishes the day with 111 pitches, goes 7 innings, 2 runs, 8 strikeouts. The 2 runs were just solo homers. I mean, that's just, I feel like that's going to be the damage on Sale is the long ball. But I mean, the strikeouts have been there. Yeah. He's been getting like 8 to 10 strikeouts seemingly every time he goes out there. He's looked like the Chris Sale of old. Like, we'll see how long it can hold up because, who knows? He's 34 and he's had injury history. So we'll see if his body can hold up. And if his body does hold up, we'll see if his arm can hold up through a full season. Because even at Chris Sale's peak, he would fade down the stretch, and he has not had his best innings in September and October. So we'll see. But I mean, to be honest with you, I think a lot of Red Sox fans would have told you we'll take it just to even have him on the mound, because we just haven't had it last 3 seasons. He got Tommy John and missed 2020 and half of 2021. Actually, probably more than half of 2021. And then in 2022, breaks the rib before the season, comes back, takes the line drive off the hand at Yankee Stadium, and then falls off his bike and hurts his other hand. Like, it's unbelievable. It's like he's on the mound. It's incredible that he's not only on the mound, but he's succeeding too. And you can tell, like, just how happy it makes him. He definitely has a greater appreciation for just being out there. He comes out of the start the other day and he's all smiles. And, Chris Sale in the past, like, it's just business. He's just doing his job. But now he has an appreciation for where he's at. And it's cool to see.
Well, I enjoy watching him as well. The vitality this year, what he's able to achieve. But I was actually surprised when I saw that Cora let him pitch 111 pitches. I mean, he was on fire. Don't get me wrong, but I would want to protect that arm. I would have probably pulled him and been booed by Boston Red Sox everywhere if I was the manager. But geez, I want to protect that golden arm.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. It's been over 100 pitches, 2 straight starts. I think he had like maybe 108 the start before. And I know they've got an extra off day, so he's going to get an extra day of rest in between these starts. Good. And they'll temporarily go with a 6-man rotation before they figure out who they're banishing to the bullpen, or potentially, Phantom IL or DFA if it's Corey Kluber. So he'll get his rest. I think that's the thinking behind it, but it's still pretty crazy to see, because I'd be lying if I said I wasn't a little bit nervous seeing him out there throwing over 100 pitches after what we've seen injury-wise from him in the past.
Well, I hope he continues to be able to perform. I just hope that they manage that arm, because it's one of my bugaboos as far as taking care of the health of players. And I'm just feel like I'm seeing way too many Tommy John surgeries, way too much, downtime for pitchers on the IL. And I think you and I both have said this, that it's the demand for speed, and I still question whether or not the pitch clock has made the whole operation part of the issue that for their health, that they don't have the time for a pause, that I don't know. I'll put that to the side. I'll just ask you real quickly. Do you feel like the pitch clock has had any impact on the pitcher's health?
I actually do. I agree with you on that. I think it's no surprise. I mean, pitcher injuries seem to increase every year, but I feel like it's no surprise this year. These guys, I mean, they throw upper 90s, and there's a reason they would take a long time to, get themselves back. You gotta regenerate that energy. Yeah. And you see these guys, if they're in a jam and they have to throw 30 pitches in an inning and they're trying to hit 96, 97, 98 on the gun every time, 30 times in an inning separated by what depend some of these guys go even quicker than the pitch clock, so they're separating these throws by like 10-15 seconds. And it I mean it doesn't take a savant to know that doing that with your arm that quickly and that powerfully is going to do some damage. Like I'm really not surprised at all. I really don't know what you do about it, but it's tough to see because it doesn't feel like it's going to stop.
Well, I hope all your guys stay healthy this year. I can tell you, Nat, it's been exciting, and I know they're doing great right now as far as climbing out of. Yeah, you put them in any other division, they would absolutely rise above everything. I know that the balanced schedule gives everybody a chance to see them too this year, but I think the Red Sox, as we were just talking about some of the players and what they're able to achieve, you guys are there. Just a few more wins. Yankees were there at the basement couple of weeks ago, then then the Rays gave them a couple of games and a few others. So it's very fickle, and it's still early this year. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, this division, every team in this division is damn good, and yeah, the balanced schedule, it just gives them an opportunity to be even better because we're facing each other less.
Yep. Yeah, wake up, world! Here they are, the AL East guys.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I'm counting my blessings. We've already faced Baltimore twice, so we only have to face them twice more the rest of the season. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Like it felt like we used to see these guys and you guys and the Jays and the Yankees like every other day we're playing an AL East team. But this year it's not like that. I really do think that every team in this division is going to finish above 500.
Well, I'm looking forward to all of it. Well, one last word I want to make sure too. So you cover everything with what you're doing online. And once again, share with us your handle on Twitter.
Yeah, so you can follow me. I'm Boston Sports Gordo on Twitter, and the ad is BOS Sports Gordo.
Okay. Yeah, no, because right now I know you cover everything, including the Celtics, and this has got to be a hard week for you and a lot of Celtics fans.
Yeah. I mean, they're just getting throttled out there by the Heat. They're down 0-3 right now as we're talking about this, and I don't think there's really any hope to get this thing back to Boston for a game 5. I hope I'm wrong, but just based off of, I mean, the Heat just deep in their heads. It's tough to watch because, I mean, usually, you see guys, taunt Al Horford and that's the end of them, and the Celtics come back and kill you for that. But this time around, it was the other way around. Grant Williams taunts Jimmy Butler, and that was that for the Celtics. They came out firing the rest of game 2 and then killed him in game 3, and Jimmy Butler's taunting Al Horford, and there's nothing the Celtics can do about it.
Well, I tell you what, man, I know you're, like I said, you have it all going on, whether it's hockey, baseball, football, basketball, and of course, baseball. Did I say it twice? But again, I want to thank you again for joining us here today, Nat. Any other final thoughts that you want to share with our audience?
No, just excited to see, the Sox on the West Coast, and, at some point again, we'll face you guys, and hopefully that we'll fare better than we did last time because, well, was that 4 games? Was that a 4-game sweep?
I think it was.
4-game sweep.
It was
against the Rays. That was a low point for the Sox because that was right after they lost Duval. That was right when it felt like the season was kind of slipping away in April. But yeah, I'm excited to see that matchup again. The Rays are an insanely tough team to face in the Trop, but I'm excited for that in the future. It'll be fun.
Hey, I'll be headed up there to Boston in a few weeks, and thanks for the heads up on a few things I can do while I'm up there to see that game where the Rays or one of them anyway, where the Rays are playing with the Red Sox. So it should be a lot of fun. Anyway, thanks again, buddy, for being here today on Baseball Biz on Deck. So thanks again, my friend, for being here, and look forward to talking with you again real soon.
Sure thing. Thanks for having me.
All righty.